partner, a task team has now been established to look into yet another alleged racist incident at a school in the Eastern Cape. It's alleged that black and white pupils were placed in different classrooms at the school in Matatiele. Well, to get some critical analysis of racial segregation in schools, we're joined now by Devin Munsami. He's the founder of the I Can Help Africa Training Institute. Munsami is the author as well of a book titled Racism, Classism, Sexism and the Other Isms That Divide Us. Now, Devin, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us on Morning News today, this morning. Just, I don't know if you've been following what's happening, for instance, in Schweizer. The latest story is that the teacher who's been suspended, Ilana Parkhazen, and together with Solidariteit, the trade union, are going to be addressing a joint media conference today, and she wants her job back.
Yes, I have been following. Morning, Dan. I have been following the story quite closely, in fact, on Twitter, just like most other South Africans. It's a major area of concern for me, and it should be, rightfully so, for many people. So yes, have been following, have been looking at what Solidarity is now doing to try and reinstate the teacher.
And what goes through your mind when you hear all of this now? I mean, you wrote an opinion piece the other day about Leierskoor Schweizer Reneke, where you end off by saying people need to really be warned in terms of teachers, the school, the educators, and everybody, that we must be sensitized on the issues of racial segregation and racism in education.
Look, Dan, as unpleasant as this whole thing has been, you know, segregation of learners in a classroom, putting these learners in the corner, and then you've got a larger group of other learners on another side, and seemingly even the body language suggests that some children in the classroom were a little bit happier, even if I'm following some of the tweets from South Africans. There is a silver lining, really. It opens the dialogue and it opens a platform for discussion in terms of what's going on in our classrooms and how perceptive are our teachers in terms of responding to the needs of our students. This doesn't just speak to, I would say, racism in a classroom. It also speaks to levels of classism. So learners who come from a particular segment of the community, maybe who live in slightly nicer housing, versus children who come from maybe a rural segment of the community. And how are we dividing these students, and teachers being extremely aware and cognizant of the fact that I am in control right now in terms of forming a level of cohesiveness amongst all learners in the classroom. So as upsetting as it is, in a way, I'm pleased that we're seeing the dialogue that's taking place on our social media platforms, as well as now teachers trying to connect the dots in terms of what went wrong and what can I do so that this doesn't happen in my classroom.
Well, we'll find out later if at all Ilana Parkhazen thinks she's done anything wrong, because she's asking for her job back. But you mentioned classism. Masiko Ratlaga, just talking to you, Veka Rangapa, just a short while ago from outside the gates of Leierskoor Schweizer Reneke, and she used an example in that town of how people are accessing medical care. When they go to a doctor's place, those who've got medical aid go in one door, those who don't have medical aid go in another door, and I can bet my last rand that the bulk of those who don't have medical aid will be black. And therefore, we seem like the racism issue is playing itself out under different guises, not only as well within our schools. So you've written the book where you talk about these isms that divide us. To me, I don't know what to you looks like, Devin. Looks like we're still far off really dealing successfully with racism in this country.
You hit the nail on the head. This is a clear indication. Whether you're paying for a service through means of medical aid or an insurance policy, or perhaps whatever channel, or maybe you're paying for it in cash, you still are a paying customer. So therefore, this is in need of serious attention. This is a level of classism. So why an entrance should be reserved for some people versus another entrance for other people is beyond me. Now, again, again, it opens the dialogue and it opens the platform for discussion here, really, for these businesses, smaller organizations who seemingly not like the cities in Gauteng and in KZN and in Cape Town, where we have an influx of people, where people are being audited more effectively. Smaller towns need to, although social integration hasn't taken place in some parts of South Africa as fast as it has in the cities, we need to be addressing such issues. This is a major area of concern because this speaks to a very deep division, and it just shows how reluctant some people are to attune their mindset to transformation. This is something that absolutely shouldn't be allowed because it perpetuates classism, it perpetuates levels of prejudicial behavior, and the owners of these businesses, quite frankly, should know better and should be empowering their people as well as their consumers to behave in a certain way. It's everybody's responsibility, and unfortunately, if we take that approach where we do have separate entrances, separate seating arrangement, separate queues for different people of different socioeconomic status, or if you're from the township, you have to get into this line, then what we are doing is the social divide starts to become deeper and deeper. And unfortunately, me as a South African, I'm not taking initiative to bridge that divide.
Thank you very much. The views there of Devin Munsami. He's the founder of the I Can Help Africa Institute, and he's also written a book entitled Racism, Classism, Sexism, and the Other Isms That Divide Us.